Good morning, everyone. Gazale Low here, Bondi Guru. I'll just give it a couple of moments and get ready to deliver the daily intuitive horoscopes yet again via YouTube live stream. So far, it's been a blast for me. And my aim is to maybe try and cut it down a little bit so that I'm not necessarily here for 90 minutes. However, that being said, I'm always happy to answer any questions that anybody may have. As you know, I'm also recording via video here on the live stream, and I'm also recording the daily forecast for the day that gets put into other social media platforms. Now, that being said, just to be clear, the only thing I show on or put on, TikTok? I must admit, I'm not a fan of TikTok at all. Every time I go there to even post the horoscopes, I wonder why I bother, if I'm honest. And I don't read any of the comments or anything on TikTok. I have no idea how people are taking the TikTok stuff. But to me, I've just never seen, I'm going to be really honest, so much, I don't know, just rubbish it's just, I'm sorry. I have to be honest. It's not my platform. I do not love it at all. However, that being said, we are on TikTok as well. And all I do is just post the forecast, and then I'm off there as quickly as I can possibly be, because I have no desire to be on TikTok. Now, that being said, the forecast that I do here, roughly around 2 minutes of it will go onto Instagram, but the rest of the conversation that I have here with you guys stays here on the live stream. And you can also catch it a little bit later in the day if you can't make the live stream. Okay, now, just if someone can let me know they can hear me, that's all I ask of you first thing, if it's possible. Hopefully you can, and that way I can prepare. I will also make sure that I've got everything ready to go. I also would recommend that whilst you're listening to these forecasts, take a moment to be here. Take a moment. Okay, good morning. Thank you, Isabella. Take a moment to be present. Oh, good. Okay, I'm happy. That makes me very happy. Take a moment to bring your attention to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. Already, it's 8 a.m. here in Sydney. I don't know what time it is anywhere else in the world. However, first thing in the morning when you wake up, already your mind will be flooded with so many thoughts. Your body will be flooded with so many emotions, everything from yesterday, the day before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It all just floods in first thing in the morning. So 5 a.m. in Perth, damn, you're up early. That's good. I have to get up 5:30 every morning to make sure that I'm prepared for these sessions, but that's awesome, 5 a.m. I love it. And so what I would recommend is just grounding yourself first thing. Don't get on, social media or anything of that kind if possible. And ask yourself one really powerful question. So first thing, when I plant my feet on the ground, the first question I ask myself is, how do I love to feel today? Immediately, then my focus now is on how do I love to feel? And it changes every day. I'll give it a moment to allow my intuition to guide me rather than how I think I would love to feel based on all the problems that I'm seeing or the issues I think I have or, what I think isn't working. So the thinking part is not useful. How would I love to feel? And as soon as I ask myself that question, take a moment to breathe, be here. And it could be today, I'd love to feel confident. Okay, great. So then now I'm inviting in the energy of confidence. However it is that I would love to feel is an energy that I get to access in the present moment. Rather than starting my day with mayhem and chaos of got to get the dogs out, got to do this, I got to do, and all the things that I think I need to do today, majority of them, in fact, 99% of everything I think I need to do is rubbish. And it's coming from a space of either fear, limitation, doubt, worry. What if this doesn't happen? What if this? It's just not useful. So present moment awareness will allow me to move at a pace that is much slower, that then helps me to lock into intuition. And what I want to do is be locked into intuition so that I can access a true decision, which then offers a true solution if there's one required, true actions. And this takes work. This is something you have to work at every single day. So my recommendation for anyone listening is ask yourself first thing in the morning, how do I love to feel today? And just take a couple of moments to allow that answer to come to you. And then throughout the day, you could even write the answer down. So for example, if it's confidence today, then I'll write down the word confident. Okay, great. That each word carries its own vibration. So throughout the entire day, whatever task I'm doing, I'm constantly aware of the energy of confidence. So then now I get to operate from that space. Then whatever it is I'm delivering, or when I take my dogs for a walk, or the food that I'm cooking, whatever it may be, I'm doing it all with the energy of confidence. Now, imagine operating from confidence. So if you feel confident, that's a different ball game. It's such a different ball game. So it can be a different emotion or different feeling, whatever it is you want to call it, for each individual. How do I love to feel today? I reckon you start your day with that, and that becomes a game changer. Okay. Very thirsty this morning. Let's dive in. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions at any point, just ask. No issue. I found out this morning that I can't get people to speak with me if I'm live streaming from my computer. I didn't know that. Learning every day. So you can just type your questions for now until that changes over time. Okay, so we're going to dive into the forecast for Aries. Again, you guys are hearing this as it's happening. Nothing is prepared. It's all based purely on intuition. There's no information. I don't write anything beforehand. I just press record and go with it. Now, to those who need to understand, essentially what's occurring is as I connect to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of my body, then I'm connecting to the pace of the present moment. The pace of the present moment is what allows me to connect to intuition. That'll keep me locked in, right? So I no longer move at a pace that moves faster than the present moment. And what always moves faster than the present moment is the mind, the thinking, the ideas. Not useful. Certainly not for what I do here, certainly not for what I present. I don't want to know anything about the Aries beforehand. It's not useful, or any star sign, because there's no point in thinking. Thinking is what will get in the way of you being able to slow down enough, access the pace of the present moment, and then access your intuition. Thinking always gets in the way of intuition. So many of you, if you want to know how to use your intuition, how to access your intuition and be sure that it's intuition, you have to first access the pace of the present moment. And for a lot of people, that's boring, right? So they won't be able to access intuition because they need to move at a really fast pace, or they're so enrolled with every single thought, identity mentally, that slowing down, first, what it does, it brings up a whole bunch of shit that's been sitting there beneath the surface, and the busyness has been covering it. So that, for a lot of people, can be very difficult, and or it's boring. Okay. Because of one of your posts back in 2019, that's a long time ago, I got the confidence to meet my now husband. We got married July this year. Hey, that's awesome. Lou, is it Lou? Congratulations. That's really cool. Oh, I appreciate you sharing that. That is really cool. How exciting. Well, I hope and set an intention for you that it is a beautiful, fruitful, loving marriage. Many wonderful times of happiness, joy, and growth, and backing each other up. Well done. That's very exciting. Okay, now let's dive in. So we've got Aries. Again, any questions, please feel free to reach out. Reach out. Shit, sorry, I forgot I was on the live. Please feel free to put your questions on the comments. Forgot where I was. Okay. take a moment. It's yourself more than anybody else that you need to tell, dear Aries, about whatever it is that you love or whatever it is that you want. And I say this because there's perhaps certain ideas in your mind that you have to tell other people or the universe or something external to you. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that the universe is within you, and it's the universe within you that you need to have that conversation with. In particular, about what it is you love in your life. I feel like there's a missing piece here. And the missing piece is you're trying to get other people to deliver whatever it is that you want in your life. And the truth is that they don't have the ability to deliver what you want in your life in the way that you might think that they do. I know it sounds a little bit strange, and what I would love for the Aries to get from today's forecast is that it's more in your hands than you realize. It's just that you're not having the conversation with yourself that you need to have, the one that supports you to get clear, asking questions that support you to be clear. What's happening is there are a lot of different thoughts in your head, and so you're waking up every day, lots of different thoughts, and there are many different thoughts that control you, your decisions, your outcomes. So taking the time every single day, in particular starting with today, to be in the energy of quiet or invite in the energy of quiet, and then through the energy of quiet, sitting quietly or walking quietly with yourself, some really powerful questions will arise. All you need is 1 to 3 powerful questions that will change the game for you. And so your access to your clarity is going to come from some very powerful questions. Okay, let's just make sure I've saved this to make my life a lot easier. So that's for the Aries. And I feel like as an Aries, it's very easy to go into battle with yourself. Very, very easy. In fact, I feel like that's been the case with the Aries for a little while. And the part of the battle is that you're not actually, maybe you don't know how to, but you're not taking the time to get really, really clear. Clarity is a game changer. And what allows you to access the energy of clarity? Please understand, all of this is an energy, and you have access to all of everything that I'm speaking about through first present moment awareness and then accessing that energy. So for the Aries, what's most necessary is accessing the energy of clarity. And I don't suggest necessarily that Aries sit a lot, because it doesn't work for them in their body. Movement is key for the Aries. And so let's say you go on a walk for the next, I would say, 30 days, and put a challenge out for yourself. For the next 30 days, take a walk every single day and take a powerful question with you on that walk. And whilst you're walking, keep the question in your pocket. If you don't have a pocket, put it somewhere. Just take it, write it on your hand. One powerful question. Now, how you would do this is, as you start the day, before you go for your walk, ask yourself, what is a powerful question I can ask myself in this moment? Your intuition will guide you. You just have to be present whilst you ask the question. Let's say whatever the question is comes to you. Great, thank you, always thank you. Write the question down, and what you're essentially saying to yourself, your body, every cell, every part of you is, we're now going to hold space for this question. And you're also trusting. That's a big step. Trust is everything. So then you'll take that walk, and for 30 days, every single day, mark it on your calendar. And it could be the same question. The question can change. It doesn't matter. We don't want to try and control the outcome here, which is what is very difficult for the Aries, because what you want to do all the time is have some form of control over every outcome that you possibly can. And this is where you do your own head in. This is where you make life incredibly difficult for yourself. So instead of trying to control all the outcomes and having as much control as you think you need to have, which is obviously, I say obviously, I shouldn't say that, sorry, which is generally based on fear, just take this one question, go for a walk, 20, 30, an hour, whatever, and keep the question with you. I would even put it on a piece of paper, hold it in your hand. It's all an energy. That's why I'm saying to you, take it with you on your walk. Okay, that's for the Aries. Anyone can do that, but that's 30 days. You know what? I might actually write. Finally, my book came in handy. I might actually write that down and turn it into something of value for the Aries and send it out to all the Aries. So Wednesday, 5th of November, Aries question, 30 days, paper. I'll come back to that later. Okay, cool. Now, Taurus for today. Just a reminder for the Taurians that getting back into the old habit of too much talking never does you any good, dear Taurus. And so you have some wonderful new understandings in your life at the moment, certainly about a process that is currently unfolding or a story that is currently unfolding, which is great. Where you have to be a little bit careful is not to start talking too much. Sometimes you'll talk from a place of, I already know everything, I already understand everything, I know all the outcomes that are going to be, and that kind of space or energy is what takes you further and further into ego, which then takes you further and further into unwanted decisions. Now, I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong with the ego. It's just that if the ego is running the show, then you will be led to decisions that are perhaps not so useful, and they will steer you from the direction that is most serving and supporting to you at the moment. So the idea currently that it's almost as though, let me put it this way, certain things in your life are beginning to fall into place, they're working out, and as they're beginning to fall into place and they're working out, you're starting to get a little bit on your high horse, which for you is just lots of talking and the idea that you already know everything. There's a lot neither of us know. Let's get really clear about that. So you need to continue being in the present moment, practicing present moment awareness to make sure that you stay plugged in to that humbleness, that humility. The moment you step away from that, ego runs the show and you're back to unwanted decisions. You've come from a space of creating many unwanted decisions in your life. You don't need to keep going back and revisiting those places. Okay, so that's for the Taurus for today. I guess what I'm saying to the Taurians is you guys can get on your high horse very quickly. And each time you do, and you've had many moments in your life where you've seen what's happened, you get on your high horse, you convince yourself that you're bigger, better, faster than anything that's going on in your life or anybody around you. And as soon as you do this, or that you have all the answers, so bigger, better, faster, I've got all the answers. As soon as you do this, which you've done many times in your life, then you fall flat on your face. And the truth is, there's only so many times that you need to fall flat on your face to learn and grow and pull yourself back up and out of whatever situations you create or manifest for yourself. You don't need to keep going back there. And so there's a bit of a fine line at the moment for the Taurians. And that is, you're either going to go back to old habits based on the idea that you already know everything, or you already know the outcomes, you're bigger, you're better, blah, blah. Or you'll continue to keep your feet on the ground, stay humble, keep the humility, stay plugged into the passion or the vision, and continue to take step by step. That is what will be most valuable for you. Here's the thing. You'll have many Taurians that will go to the left, which will be the fine line I referred to, and then you'll have many of them that will go the other way. How that happens, I actually don't know. I'm just sharing what my feeling is here. So the opportunity you have right now is to keep accessing the energy of humbleness, the energy of humility. When you access that energy, that space, and operate from that space, then you'll make decisions that will lead you towards moving in the direction that is most valuable and supportive for you at the moment. Okay, now let's dive into the Geminis. Again, if you have any questions while I'm here, you're more than welcome to ask them. Just going to move this. I forgot to move that yesterday. It shouldn't be in view of the background that we've worked so hard on putting together. By the way, every so often I will feature a book. So if you're someone that's written a book or you recommend any books, at the moment I've got Carly Lyon, Courage to Be, which is her first book that she's just released. And there's a walk and talk session that I took forever to edit yesterday, which will be released today, where I do the walk and talk with a guest, and Carly has kindly said yes to being my first guest. So watch that today. But if there are books that you guys know about that you feel are incredible, or you're an up-and-coming author, I would absolutely be open to reading your book and also to putting it here for you. And no, there's no cost. Okay, so the Gemini. There's a transformation in place currently, dear Gemini. And for you, all you need to do is make sure that you are paying attention. The emotions that are moving through your sphere, your body, your mind, your space, that are emotions that need to be there, but they also need to move through. The transformation happens for you when you allow these emotions to move through. Now, I know for the recent week or so, at least it feels that way, maybe even a little bit longer, we've been talking a lot about emotions. And it's very normal to get lost in our emotions, to get stuck in our emotions, to keep going back to the story that we are convinced created the emotion, things of that nature. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. So it's not about beating yourself up. What's most valuable, what's most important for you right now is to know, first of all, that there is a beautiful transformation that is available to you right now. For you to access this transformation and how it will beautifully transform many areas of your life. I feel like it's in connection to health and lifestyle. So the two things, most important things perhaps at the moment for you. And in order for this transformation to do what it does in health and lifestyle, these emotions that are huge, big emotions that are in your sphere, in your space, in your mind and body, as they arise, it's about allowing them to continue to move through. And so I mentioned in, I think it was yesterday's forecast and perhaps even previous, 90 seconds. What is the emotion? Name it, acknowledge it. It's important that it's acknowledged. Just give yourself 90 seconds with it. Time it if that's what you need to do. And then step away from the emotion. Get on with the moment that you have in front of you. This is going to be key for the Geminis right now. The need to understand why you have the emotion that you have is your biggest letdown at the moment, dear Gemini. And so I say this because you're trying to figure out how to never feel however it is that you're currently feeling. And the more you do that, the more you dismiss how you're feeling, which keeps the emotion trapped in your body. And this is the issue that I feel that the Geminis are currently and consistently running into at the moment. And that is, I need to understand these emotions. Now, this is unconscious, of course. I'm not suggesting that you're doing it consciously, but I need to understand these emotions so that I can then figure out how I can live my life to never have to feel them again. And you can't. Doesn't matter how great your life is or how many plans or whatever it is that you have for yourself, these emotions, for as long as they're in the body, will continue to be triggered, rise, and the key is to allow them to move through. Now, I say this. I say allow them to move through. I'm not going through what you're going through. I'm not experiencing the intense emotions that the Geminis are experiencing for themselves at the moment. So, of course, it's easy for me to sit here and say, just let it move through, allow it to move through. When you're in the thick of some of the biggest emotional storms of your life, it's very difficult to allow them to move through, which is why I'm saying to you, allow yourself 90 seconds. I'm going to give myself 90 seconds with this emotion and really feel it, right? And even that, to do that requires your ability to make that decision consciously. And when you're in the middle of the storm, it's very difficult to pull yourself out and make that decision consciously. If, however, you bring present moment awareness even whilst you're in the midst of that storm, you will be able to pull yourself or remove your attention, rather than pull yourself out, remove your attention from the hurricane of emotions that are occurring. And how you do that is you bring your attention for a couple of seconds to the flow of the breath, in, out. The flow of the breath naturally. You don't need to make it really intense and do all the really intense breathing stuff. Not for what I'm sharing here, okay? So feel the flow of the breath. And then your next job, if you like, is to feel sensations anywhere in the energy field of the body, and keep bringing your attention to those sensations. This is how you remove your attention from the chaos of the emotions. You get to then, if needed, label an emotion if that's what you need to do. So you acknowledge that this is anger. I can see, I feel so angry. I can see it. Great. Well done. You've now allowed yourself to be conscious in the midst of this emotional storm, to see the anger, observe it, acknowledge it, even hold space for it. You can't hold space for an emotion when you're not present. It's impossible. Impossible. So this is why you hear me, even whether it's through your forecasts or any type of work anyone does with me, my only focus is present moment awareness. If you don't have that, there's no point in me. Let's say, for example, the work that I present, these forecasts won't do anything for you. They're not going to be useful. And that's why it's the same. You'll hear me talk about the same thing in the forecast, which is always bring it back to present moment awareness. Because once you're in the present moment, your access to intuition, that's the game changer for you. That's all you need, right? So, and when I work with people, whether it's in group or individuals, that is my focus. I've got a group that I've had running, I think I've maybe 10, 11 years, and the group is still running. It's an amazing group of people. And from day dot, I talk about the same thing. It's just the present moment has such a depth to it, hence the group continuing. It's not that they're stupid and they don't understand. It's just that there's a depth to present moment awareness that we can't even fathom. So all we do in this group is continuously go deeper and deeper into present moment awareness. Their experience of present moment awareness grows, and by going deeper, they first have to keep facing parts of themselves, and that's where I come along and support and nudge people, and bring out whatever it is that they're not looking or that at or not facing. That's my best work, right? However, everything comes back to present moment awareness. It always comes back to present moment awareness. If you don't have that, you can't deal with anything that's going on in your life from a space that can be open and conscious, and then access true solutions, true actions. Okay, that was a lot there. Now I know why these sessions are so long. Okay, so Cancer, let's dive in here. There's a moment of self-awareness that happens for the Cancerians today. And it's not to say that you're not self-aware. It's more that this is a moment that runs deeper than you've experienced before, dear Cancer. And so this moment of self-awareness brings forth an idea that has been trapped in the back of your mind for many years of your life. The idea is a conversation around what isn't possible for you. And so this idea has made many of your decisions unconsciously because you haven't been aware of it. It's what has, my English is going to sound so bad here, but it's what has gotten in your way or blocked you from being able to pursue and also succeed in some of the, I want to say, visions or dream that you've had for a long time. And so you've kind of walked away from, let's just say, 2 or 3 visions that you've had based on this particular idea. So what occurs for the Cancerians today is magic. And the magic, I feel like it's magic. The magic is you get to see and hear the content of this idea and how, it works through your mind in particular. How it works through you to tell you what isn't possible. And you get to see how much you've been listening to this idea without even realizing that the idea isn't true. It's an idea that may have been the case for somebody in your life, many, many years ago, and they passed that idea to you, and it's now become and has been your way of life when it comes to really breaking through certain limitations to bring a particular vision to fruition. So this is a game changer for the Cancerians. And so there are many ideas for many of us, it's not just the Cancerians, that have been passed down from generations before us. And so again, this is where present moment awareness is necessary, because once you're truly in the present moment, none of the ideas have a hold of you. And also, this is where intuition comes into play. You get to hear and observe the ideas and thoughts that are your blockages. You get to experience all of that through intuition. But, I say but, because first you have to be in the present moment. So your practice always needs to be present moment awareness. How can I bring present moment awareness to this moment? And let's just say you're in the thick of something, which we all go through all the time. How can I bring present moment awareness to this chaos? How can I bring present moment awareness to, let's say, I'm working on my health at the moment, my training, my food. How can I bring present moment awareness to my food, to my training, so on and so forth? Okay, so I use the same questions as I'm offering you here as well. I feel like the camera is a bit on an angle. I'm trying to fix it here. Again, any questions, please feel free to ask whilst I'm here. I'll dive into the Leo forecast now. There's one very simple change in your life at the moment that I want to say, become aware of today, dear Leo. It's a very simple change that you can implement, is what I'm trying to get at here, in your life moving forward from today. It's a change that you get to implement today and then make sure that you are consistent with it. I want to say, and I'm just using intuition here, for the Leos, for 70 days. Now, I don't know why the number 70 is important. I just wrote that down as well so that I can come back to it a little bit later. But I don't know why the number 70 is important. It is for the Leos. It's a change that you can implement in your life today. And I'm going to suggest that you continue being consistent. It's a very simple change, by the way, being consistent for 70 days. And I also am going to recommend to the Leos that you have a calendar or something somewhere so you can tick off the days. It's critical and or crucial, these are the words that I'm sensing here, that this change is implemented starting today, Wednesday, 5th of November, and it runs for 70 days. Okay, I have no idea what the change will be. I just know that there's an energy of simplicity that is most valuable and most accessible to the Leos at the moment. Your entire existence needs to be and feel simple. And the more simple it feels, the more simple your decisions are, the easier it is for you to stay true to whatever the dream or the vision or idea is that you have. As soon as complication gets in, there's too much thinking and you can no longer stay true or connected to vision, idea, or dream. I love it. I feel like at the moment it's the same similar conversation with the Leos as well, and that is to keep things as simple as they possibly can. Now, here's the thing. Often, you're welcome, Adrienne. Often my question is, what does this star sign need support around, right? I don't know that I always ask the question consciously. However, that's what's in my sphere. What can I support? What does it support? What support does this star sign require? And really the content of your forecast comes from that space. My job here is to deliver content or message, however you want to say it, that will support you to do the inner work so that you are clear and have access to your intuition and your own inner guidance. Your inner guidance is far more valuable than anything I or anybody can give you. And so you accessing that inner guidance, I say find ways, but I'm not necessarily finding ways because it's in the present moment, it's delivered. But for me, it's about, let's just say, finding ways for 12 different star signs to deliver how to access your intuition in a way that you can hear and listen based on your level of understanding and awareness based on your star sign. The psychology of your star sign comes into play here. I don't know how because I don't think about it. I'm aware that it's important. So, for example, the Leos at the moment, the energy is all about simplicity. They have to be able to access the energy of simplicity. My feeling is that this is going to be something that will run for quite a while, and it could be the 70 days that I've just delivered. Again, there's no thinking process because I can't think about this. If I think about it, I will lose myself. So I can't do that. So, okay, so the energy is about simplicity for the Leo. So what that really means is that the Leos, by making decisions that feel very simple and simplifying their life, will have greater access to their own intuition. Their intuition will guide them according to their bigger picture. So the blueprint for the Leo, and then for who you are as an individual, is owned by your intuition, not by anybody else. I don't care how many people on this planet think they have the blueprint for you. They don't. I don't have the blueprint for you. Nobody has a blueprint for you. Yet people going out there and buying all these blueprints. Nobody has it because nobody has access to your intuition, your inner wisdom, your inner guidance. Nobody has access to your personal bigger picture. I don't have that. So, and I say not that I'm something special or magnificent and blah, blah, blah. That's not at all the space I'm coming from. So your bigger picture is connected to your intuition and the guidance for you to fulfill whatever this bigger picture is that nobody has access to except for you. And sometimes you'll have access to the entire bigger picture, which I think can be very, very rare. And sometimes you have access to parts of the bigger picture, right? Your intuition will show you how to. You cannot question the how to. And that's where a lot of people fall down or convince themselves that they have made a mistake, or their intuition has made a mistake, or they're upset because their intuition isn't guiding them properly, so on and so forth. You can't have any emotion when it comes to intuition. Let's just say there are rules here, which there aren't, but for the sake of conversation, rule number 1, you do not question your intuition. The moment you've questioned it, doesn't mean that you haven't accessed intuition. It just means you've gone into your head. So logic has taken over. So the moment the question, because people do this all the time, and I say people, I'm generalizing based on my experience of working with individuals and groups. So I'm not just making this up, it's based on my experience. But people have this way of questioning whatever their intuition is guiding them with, and then convincing themselves that their intuition got it wrong. Intuition has nothing to do with right or wrong in any way, shape, or form. So the first thing I learned through practicing present moment awareness and doing readings when I was very, very young is don't question it. Even if the people that I'm sitting across from, I was 12 when I started this, even the people I'm sitting across from don't believe what I'm saying and or go against what I'm saying, don't question it. And I would have that, and it would become sometimes my fuel to understand and know that intuition's spot on, because sometimes people didn't want to hear some of what I was sharing with them about their own inner world, right? So I could very easily recognize, that's my confirmation that okay, I have access to intuition here. So rule number 1, you do not question your intuition. However, that being said, once a question jumps in, you've just gone over to logic. Nothing wrong with that. Come back to your breath and or get up and walk away from whatever it is you're trying to achieve in that moment. Take a break, go for a walk, whatever it is that you can do, a breather, then come back with present moment awareness. Intuition is not about right or wrong. No such thing. It's impossible. Okay, that was a lot. So let's go over to Virgo. Again, anyone has any questions, I'm just going to take a second, drink some water, and then continue. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Very thirsty this morning. You know why? I know why. Because when I woke up this morning, I didn't drink my usual water and salt or whatever. I went out and had a coffee. That's never a great way to start the day, which is true. Okay. You'll see what, those of you that are watching, or you watch this a bit later, but you'll see as I go into the forecast, sometimes what I need is a moment. So I pause. I was going to say something, but sometimes what I need is just take a moment and then pause. So I'm feeling sensations, just so you know what I'm actually doing here, is continuing to feel sensations in the inner energy field of my body, making sure that I'm not rushing through anything here. I'm not here, and I say this lovingly and respectfully for the audience. I'm not here to quickly deliver answers or quick do the forecast because people are waiting for their forecast. No, the people can watch it later. It doesn't matter. I'm here to deliver whatever it is that requires to be delivered. And if that takes 5 minutes, great. If it takes an hour and a half, then it takes an hour and a half. And I need to trust that. So I can't look at the audience and rush along, then I'm disconnected. So my focus goes back onto feeling sensations. And sometimes you'll see me do the nod. The nod means, okay, there it is, got it, then I deliver the content. Just in case that's interesting for anyone. Okay, the Virgos. So for the Virgos today, the message is loud and clear, and that is, do not confuse someone else's story with your own, dear Virgo. And so I'm sharing this with you because I get the feeling that you're looking at somebody else's life or somebody else's story, or someone's having a conversation with you about what's going on in their life, and it's quite challenging for them and what they're going through. And it can be very easy for you to then take on their challenge, take on how they're feeling, and somehow allow that to creep into your mind, your body, your experience, and then convince yourself that that's what's either going to happen to you, or that's the life you're going to live, or that's now how you're feeling. So for the Virgos in particular today, maybe even for the next couple of days, is you have to practice a lot of grounding exercises and anything that supports you to keep feeling very grounded, feeling solid in your body. And so your most important work will be over the next probably 1 to 3 days is being in the body and staying in the body. When you find yourself starting to feel a bit agitated, you may find yourself starting to feel a little bit frustrated and go into a bit of a, oh my goodness, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know what to do about this particular situation in your own life. Just remember, stop. You've just taken on somebody else's energy or their emotions, and you've turned them into a whirlwind of misunderstanding and convincing that that's what you're about to go through, or that's what you're going through in your life. It's not the case at all. So 1 to 3 days, Virgos, any iota of agitation, frustration, and I don't know, that means you've taken on someone else's viewpoint or emotion. Stop, ground yourself. And you may find that you need to stop and ground yourself 300 times a day. Great. Better you do that than take on what doesn't belong to you. Okay, so I share this for the Virgo right now. Obviously, I say obviously. It may not be obvious, but to me it's obvious that's what's going on for them. Excuse me. Now, here's the thing. And I'm going to share this piece because I see this happen a lot. People are very good at convincing themselves that they're taking on other people's emotions and energies and so on and so forth. You have to be very careful here because there's such a fine line. There's a difference between being triggered by someone else's story, emotions, what they're going through, and sometimes what could happen is that it triggers sadness, it triggers maybe disappointment, it could also trigger a feeling of hopeless and helplessness. Now, those emotions have already been within you, and what you're manifesting is a situation which is necessary to have those emotions be triggered so you can feel them. I see a lot of people in the world of spirituality, if you like, convince themselves that, oh, no, that's not my emotion, that belongs to somebody else. And they kind of try and throw it back onto the other person. And then they don't feel anger. They don't, it happens a lot in the world of spirituality, which is why I do my best to stay away from anything esoteric and spiritual in that sense, because a lot of the conversation in those areas are about perfection and not feeling, certain emotions, and or, oh, that's somebody else's energy and emotion, I don't want to take it on. So there's a very fine line. Understand first, am I being triggered here? What is the emotion that has arisen for me? How am I feeling? Those types of questions can support you to recognize whatever you need to recognize, what that has been triggered in you, and also help you understand, oh, okay, so let's just say somebody's going through a really difficult financial situation in their life, and it's hard to watch, it's somebody that you care about. I'm just making this up. And then somehow you convince yourself, which is how the ego plays, that you're going to go through the same thing. And then you start to hoard or hang on to your money or hang on to, whatever, and block yourself. That is you taking on somebody else's way of life or somebody else's emotions and so on and so forth. In fact, it happens all the time in society. If you think about it, if I'm to give energy and attention to, a lot of, let's say, what I see on social media, let's say the world is going through a financial crisis. I'm just, again, as an example, if I keep giving all of my attention and energy to what is being said about the financial crisis, then I'm going to go through the same thing. I'm going to start to pick up that energy and it's going to consume me, and it's going to be the reason why X, Y, Z. So the best thing I can do is remove my attention from the conversation of the financial crisis. I'm not suggesting everybody does this. I'm only referring to myself, okay? Because some people love that shit and they just want to be consumed by stuff. So for me, it's not useful. It's not an energy that I want to take into my life and then live by that. It's not useful to me. And also, I'm aware that a lot of what gets said is rubbish anyway. It's just somebody else's fear that gets put out into the world to keep people, limited and small and so on and so forth. So please understand there's a very fine line. I hope I described that well. Okay, we're going to just setting up for the Libra. I've got a little bit of congestion. I'm sure you could hear it. Sometimes it's not meant to be cold in Sydney, by the way. It's the 5th of November. It's odd. But sometimes when it gets really cold, today it feels really cold, this morning was, I get a little bit congested. One second. Okay, so we are on the Librans. Librans has, again, been very similar energy. So the question, perhaps I will ask, what does a Libra need support with? Okay, let's just say I'm going to ask this question now out loud. What does a Libra need support with? And then just give it a moment. This is not what I generally do, but I just want to show you how this works or how I access intuition. I say it's not what I generally do because I don't sit here and ask the question, but I'm aware of that question. I'm aware what I'm delivering is something that star sign requires support around. Okay, now it's clear. We're back to being quiet and inviting the energy of quiet because, again, dear Libra, there are messages deep inside your body that only you can access. And these are messages about lifestyle, they're messages about health, they're messages around finances, they're messages around certain how to do things in your life that you may not be very clear about how to do right now. And so what's most important for you is to have quiet time and create that quiet time. It's not enough to do 15 minutes. I just want to make that very clear to the Librans. Librans are very good at busying themselves up and filling up their plate. And to think that you can sit down for 5 minutes and just be quiet, and that's it for the rest of the day, I feel like you're fooling yourself a little bit. The quiet that I'm referring to, the present moment awareness that is required for you to access the messages from your body currently, is something that you need to bring into practice, and you need to really dial into this. Can I say that? Dial into this. And it's a practice that you need to have in your life. And I say need to, you don't have to do anything, but that's just the words that come to me, that this practice needs to be consistent. And if you only have 5 minutes of your day to sit with yourself, to sit with present moment awareness, to sit with intuition, then what the hell are you doing with your life? Then a lot of the decisions that you're making are not, in fact, any decision you make is not useful, because then all your decisions are coming from yesterday, fear, limitation, uh, things of that nature, and other people, and pleasing other people, making sure everybody else gets what they need, but you're missing what is most valuable and what is most important. What you need is access to your own inner wisdom. Your body has messages for you. You have to listen. If you don't, it's going to be something that you'll look back and wish you had. So I'm going to say this to the Librans, hopefully, for the last time, and hopefully we don't have to keep having this conversation. It's not enough to sit for 3 minutes and then that's it, and the rest of your days is busy, busy, busy. You have to create time every single day. You can do 5 minutes here, then do another 3 minutes there, and then do 20 minutes, but make sure you have time in your day, every single day, that you consciously and deliberately create to sit and listen to what your body is sharing with you. If you are not taking the time to create space and time to listen to present moment awareness or to be quiet and things of that nature, you're not honoring any decision that belongs to you. I just want to make that very clear. You're living someone else's life and or 300 other people's version of life. It's not your life anymore. And I see this a lot where people just don't have the time. They're so busy, 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 busy. But whatever it is that you are so busy, busy, busy with, and you're not taking the time to deliberately create quiet spaces so that you can hear what your inner wisdom is sharing with you, then it's not your life. Please understand that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, good or bad, it's just not your life. Okay, now we're going to jump into Scorpio. Whoa, sorry, 1 second. I get the feeling, dear Scorpio, that there are some changes you're waiting to occur in your life. And it's not that they won't happen. Perhaps they will, and they're probably even around the corner. I'm not too sure. However, what I'm noticing is that there are changes that you have to implement yourself. Until you implement these changes, the other changes that you're hoping for can't really come about. I'm sharing this with you because it feels like there's a bit of an energy of, well, I don't really have much of a choice. I can't change anything. I can't do anything different. It's kind of that type of energy that sits in the background for you. And every so often, perhaps more often than not in recent times, that energy has taken over, or that space or those types of thoughts have taken over and led you to feel hopeless and helpless. And there's nothing wrong with feeling hopeless and helpless. They are perhaps emotions that have been stuck in the body for many years, and your current situation is, I want to say, an opportunity to trigger these emotions and bring them out, right? So they can be released. I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with them. However, what I am noticing is the hopeless and helpless. If you stay there, that's dangerous. That's where it gets very dark very quickly and leads to many unwanted decisions. And you have the opportunity to move more towards a space that feels a lot lighter than a space that feels a lot darker. So when there are emotions that feel like hopeless and helpless, take the time to acknowledge that emotion, to have a conversation with that emotion if that's what it takes. It's a part of you that needs to be acknowledged, seen, heard, and released. Excuse me. So that's for the Scorpios. I feel like I've spoken a lot about Scorpio, so I'm probably not going to dive into anything further here other than to remind you guys that it's not all doom and gloom. There are changes that you can implement. They may not be massive leaps and bounds, which is perhaps what you think they should be, but they may not be that necessarily. However, there are changes you can implement into your day-to-day life. I'm just reminding you that sometimes those changes, it's like when you, I'm sure everyone's experienced this, you feel low, you're feeling not so great, or feeling hopeless, helpless. We've all had those experiences. And in that moment, you make a brilliant decision to go, you know what, I'm just going to go for a walk. I don't need to try and change how I'm feeling, but I need to go for a walk. And so in that moment, you go for a walk or whatever. And there's a shift that takes place. And there's an energy that shifts, and the blood flows, and your brain and all the things that occur in your body, which feel, it's not that you need to try to feel better. It's more that then you have access to shifting your perspective. And the truth is, for the Scorpios, that's really the conversation that I keep having, is you need to shift your perspective. Once you shift your perspective, and that's something you need to work on continuously and consistently for now in your life, once you shift that perspective, then that hopeless, helpless energy starts to dissipate as well. That's all I'll say for the Scorpio. Okay, now we have Sagittarius for Wednesday, the 5th of November. You have a brand new insight that lands for you at some point today, dear Sagittarius, and it's an insight that will require action. It's an insight that will require you to move a little bit faster when it comes to the decision-making process, and also an insight that will require you to trust the process. I say, in particular, trust the process, because it can be quite common for you to have an insight and then negate the insight and go, well, is that really an insight, or was that really my intuition? Was that really? So that those questions won't be useful. The moment the insight lands, whatever it may be, I have no idea what it's in relation to. Take the time, maybe even write the insight down. I think that would be probably most useful for you. You got the insight, write it down. Then get clear on what actions are required for this, because of this insight, and or for this insight to develop further. Okay, it's a very deep insight. So it's one of those insights that will keep giving. It will support you to have a much deeper and richer understanding of yourself, which is, of course, necessary. And so it's an insight that you can continue to come back to daily, perhaps for the next month or so, and just keep reading the insight. What's also most valuable, I'm feeling here, is the actions that are tied to this insight. So every other day, you may find, as you read the insight, there's another action that is there for you to take. Don't just write the actions down, make sure you take it. So this insight really is in your life, or lands for you in your life, to make sure that you're in motion and that you take the actions that will support you best. I say that for the Sagittarians because they have a tendency to get an insight, question it. I mean, maybe everyone has that tendency, but I think Sagittarians do this quite often. And then any action that is connected, they just dismiss it. So I feel like Capricorn, sorry, I'm just writing the word Capricorn. I feel like Sagittarians can be a little bit slow in making decisions that are powerful, useful. And also there's an idea sometimes for the Sagittarians that once you've made a decision, you never have to make that decision again. So that's a common mistake that the Sagittarians can make quite often. I've made the decision, I don't need to make this decision again. Sometimes what you'll find is one decision is one that you have to continue to make in your life over and over again. Okay, so we'll dive into Capricorn. So I'm going to record it here. You get to see the truth for what it is today, dear Capricorn, which is great for you. I feel like there's been a truth in your life that's been kind of hanging around for maybe a few months. And because you've been busy and somewhat in indecisiveness for a little while, you haven't really been able to see this truth and or really take it in. It's a truth that builds a lot of confidence in you. It supports you to make some of the decisions that have been sitting on the sidelines that require some pretty big leaps and bounds from you. Now, I don't know that it's necessarily that the leaps and bounds need to happen right away. Maybe there are things that will occur over the next few months. It's more what's most valuable for you to take is that this truth that has already landed in your life has many moments, or gives many moments of you being able to see what you're capable of. So perhaps for a little while you've been a little bit blind to your capabilities. It's not that you've been sitting around and doing nothing necessarily. That's not what I'm suggesting. It's more that you've been doing what you've been doing, but without the confidence of the capability that you have. And so this is what really begins to shift for you. And that's a beautiful transformation. And that's what will lead to, perhaps I could say, bigger leaps and bounds over time that shift certain outcomes in your life. Now, again, I say again, but let me just remind you that wherever there are big leaps and bounds, there will be an adjustment period. So let's not get too excited about leaps and bounds. Each leap or bound that you take in your life that is really big will require you to then be able to adjust to that space of whatever the outcome is from the big leap and bound, leaps or bounds in your life. Always remember there is an adjustment period. Okay, that's a piece that many people forget. There's always an adjustment period. No matter how exciting the changes are, we're going to have an adjustment period. And often that's where people can lose themselves, in the adjustment period. That's where a lot of questions can arise. It's like when you go from one level of life to the next level, there's an adjustment period. Even if that next level is everything you've ever dreamed it to be, there's still going to be an adjustment period. Okay, so we'll dive into Aquarius. You don't have to try to put on a show for everybody else, dear Aquarius. And I share this with you because it feels to me that there's a part of you that is trying to show off. I don't know. It's not that it's trying to show off who you are, but it's trying to show off how you're not feeling. This is going to sound really strange, okay? So, for example, there's a particular emotion that is most prominent for you in your life at the moment, and that emotion feels a little bit down. It's an emotion that feels a little bit like, what am I really doing? Is this what I really want to be doing? What am I doing with my time? What am I doing with my life? That's kind of the energy around the emotion. So I don't know exactly what the emotion is, but it feels a little bit down. And then you're constantly trying to show the opposite of that emotion, perhaps to one person or perhaps to a lot of the people around you. And the reason I feel this is valuable for you to hear and take in is because there's a moment where you have to be very honest with yourself. Because what is occurring here is you're feeling how you're feeling because it's time for a new change in your life. It's time for you, for example, in a particular area of your life to do something very differently, to do something very new in a way that you've never done before. And if you keep pretending you're not feeling how you're feeling and you're kind of showing off something completely different to other people, then you're going to miss the boat where you can actually go, okay, I feel, so I don't want to keep doing what I'm doing, whatever it may be. The truth, and that's your intuition guiding you, you're going to miss that moment. And then keep playing the same game that you don't want to play anymore. So how you're feeling is intuitively moving through you to help you understand that the road that you're about to head down, or the road that you've always been on, needs to shift. There's something new and fresh, and then the vibration has to shift. It's already here in your life. For you to be able to access the new, you have to be honest about how you're really feeling. Sorry, it took forever to get to that point, but I hope that makes sense. It's very common for the Aquarians to show something different from how they are feeling. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, good or bad. The problem, however, there is that you then miss the opportunity to actually hear your own intuition. Over the years, when I do, in particular, these forecasts, but any intuitive work that I've done over the years, I've learned this from a very young age. Let's just say I feel, wake up, I feel really low today, just as an example. I'm not going to try to quickly shift that because I have to deliver forecasts. No, there's a reason for that feeling, and that will be useful. Maybe there's a forecast that needs to hear it from that type of space. So the words, the vibration comes from feeling a bit low, and maybe, I'm just making this up, the Taurians need to hear it from that space, because then what I find is throughout delivering the forecast, all of a sudden something will shift. And whatever shifts and whenever they shift is, to me, I've learned, based on what that star sign needs to hear. So that is what I feel like is going on for the Aquarians. Stop trying to change it all and be up, and upbeat, because that's not useful. Be real about how you're feeling, and your intuition will guide you beautifully. Now, just jump into Pisces, and that's it for the day. Well, for this part of the day, for me anyway. Okay. Now, the Pisces, always the last one. Just take a moment, and then I'll dive into it. Okay, cool. I'm going to dive straight into something for the Pisceans to do today, as I feel this is what will be most useful. So I'm going to suggest the Pisceans take the time to write down everything that you're seeing as a problem in your life. I know this is going to be connected to a lot of thinking, and normally I wouldn't advise that. However, you've got a lot on your mind. There's a lot of different things that you could do, different places you could be. There's a lot of different decisions you can make. It's a lot that's going on for the Pisceans at the moment. So what we want to be able to do is put all of that on a paper, or however you want to present it, and whatever it is that you think is a problem in your life. Why do you think it's a problem? Just write it down, right? We want to empty the mind as much as possible so that you can then be able to land in the present moment and hear your own inner guidance, your inner wisdom. There are some truly magnificent decisions and actions and steps that you can take from exactly where you are in your life that will work wonders for you. The only thing is, you cannot make those decisions or even access them or take the actions from the mental space that you're currently in, with all of the overwhelm of things that are going through your head that you're seeing as that you're seeing as problems. So you got problems? Cool. Write it all down. Let's look at what these problems are. Take the time through present moment awareness, write it down. It could be, problem is, I don't make enough money, as an example. Okay, great. Just write that down. Or whatever, what's the next problem? And the next problem, everything that you're seeing as an issue. I have to be somewhere at this time. I don't know how I'm going to get there. Great, write it down. So all of the things that you're seeing as a problem, as an issue, put it on a piece of paper. Be present with them. This is you emptying your mind, then go for a walk, and then see what happens from there. Whatever the issue is, you have to learn to break it down, right? Obviously, there's a lot more problems when you're not in the present moment. So every time your attention is off the present moment, it goes into thinking. Everything's a problem. Now, for the Pisceans in particular, this is valuable because you're very good at just kind of disappearing, if you like, disappearing from the world on some level. And so what you do is you start to go into trying to create different scenarios and outcomes. The problem is you're trying to create it from a space of limitation, from a space that is fearful. And so when you're trying really hard to create from those spaces, you're going to bring more of that same energy into your life. So in order for you to, I want to say, create or manifest or be open from a space that is present, first, let's look at all the things that you think are a problem. I feel like this is going to be a game changer for the Pisceans. Do the work. Keep doing the work. You have to do the work. And the work is something that you do every single day. You don't take a day off doing the work. You don't take a day off being present. And there comes a time where doing the work, in particular present moment awareness, is no longer difficult because it's the natural, normal place to be in. It's the natural, normal space for you to operate from. Okay, but you have to do the work. I should make that very, very clear. And it's something that needs to be done every single day. I see a lot of people that go, fuck, I should take a break from getting present. Like, okay, then now you're back in your head and, ideas and things that are not true. Okay, that's it from me today. Thank you for being here. Those of you that will watch later, I don't actually know how to timestamp things. I will learn all of that over time, or obviously hand this to other people and they can do that as well. And so eventually these will all be time-stamped as well, if it's possible. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and energy. I will be back again tomorrow 8 a.m. And the great thing is we managed to do this in 1 hour and 10 minutes today. So that's cool. Maybe tomorrow we can bring it down a little bit more. Thank you for your time.